Hello everybody, I'm Alyssa from Meditative Astrology, and today we're going to talk about the astrology of August 10th through 17th. We have some interesting things to talk about today, so we're going to get into all of that. Before we do, I would like to ask you and invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's very helpful for us, and then you don't miss anything that we have going on here, like these weekly videos or the live weekly astrology meditations that we have Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you like the Facebook page or the Instagram page, you'll see our weekly intentions that come out on Fridays. Those correlate with the astrology of the upcoming week, and they correlate with the weekly video through that, as well as being a main focus of leaning into the astrological energy through our meditation circles that we have Sunday nights. Meditativeastrology.com is the hub for all of those things. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you for supporting and following. Let's go ahead and get into what we have going on here this week. We start out on Sunday, August 10th, with the moon in the sign of Aquarius, and it'll move into the sign of Pisces early in the morning, makes a square to Uranus. That's what we have the moon doing. And then we also have a couple aspects that we have this day. So Sunday, this is where Mercury stations direct. So we've been in this Mercury retrograde period, and now Mercury is going to be moving forward. It stations at 4 degrees Leo, so anything that you have in those early degrees, say like 2 to 5 degrees, or even 0 up to maybe up to 7 degrees if you want to be a little bit broad there. Any of those planets may be impacted through the aspect that Mercury is making to them. So this is a turning point of the cycle here. What has been questioned, what has been put into focus, what has been brought up and reviewed, what has been looked at intently is coming to a close as far as that reviewing period goes. Now the things that have been questioned, or the things that have come up or have experience some sort of shift, now we're going to start to see the moving forward and the progression with that. It's a slow process as Mercury slowly makes its way further away from the sun, but it's a moving forward period. So we see Mercury at its maximum elongation, which is where it's the farthest away that it's going to get from the sun, around like the August 16th through 22nd. So right at the end of this week through like next weekend, that's where this Mercury in Leo is going to feel the most prominent. That's where we may start to really see and really start to feel the things that are moving forward in the progress and the processes that have been going on for us. So the things that have been coming up within the sign of Leo, any sort of insecurities that have been coming up, or any sort of lack of confidence, lack of courage, any questioning of heart or purpose, or looking at our own autonomy or our own ability to allow our purpose to be seen, to allow our full selves to be seen. That focus of the individual versus the group and the collective energy, all of those type of things, as well as the house topics of where you find Leo within your chart, those are all type of things that are up for play. But thinking back through this Mercury retrograde and the things that have kind of brought that up, has been brought up for you. So, you know, where has the shift been within the topics of the house of Leo? That's a good place to start. And then archetypally, you can look at these other things that we are talking about as far as like the heart space type energy in the sign of Leo. So this Mercury retrograde period could have been pretty deep for some of us. Deep because there's been a lot of Pluto that's been going on here, right? We've had the new moon was opposite Pluto. Mercury is stationing 2 degrees away from an opposition with Pluto. So there's a lot of this deep, potentially powerful, cathartic, transformational type energy, things bubbling up, things that maybe have been gestating for a while, and they finally have kind of shown their way or found a way back into your sight or into your line of view through this retrograde period. Maybe things that either have been brewing for a while, or things that maybe we were trying to avoid, those type of things. And at the same time, we have Mars making a trine to Pluto. So yeah, much Plutonian energy has been about. The Mars-Pluto trine, we talked about this in last week's video because it was a signature of the full moon that came through on Saturday, came through on August 9th. But here on the 10th, this is where the aspect goes exact. So the feeling this period can possibly started like when Mars entered the sign of Libra, so that was the middle of last week, and we can take this through most of this week. So there's about this week and a half of this Mars trining Pluto energy here that could be coming up. And Pluto itself can be polarizing, that like magnetic push and pull, attracting, repelling, and that kind of like pendulum swinging energy. But so can all of these oppositions to Pluto. So there's a lot of this, I like the pendulum word, the pendulum energy, maybe because I like pendulums. But that swaying back and forth and that moving from one extreme to another. So think about like if you're on like a swing, right? Like if there's somebody standing in front of you and you're swinging on a swing set, you kind of like sway back and forth. So there's like these alternating periods of like moving really close to the person and then moving really far away from the person. That's built into this entire lunar cycle. That is built into Plutonian type energy within its own right in different ways. So swinging between like power and struggle are a possibility throughout this entire lunar cycle. So there could be some struggles, right? There could be some push and pull. There could feel like there's we're moving forward, we're moving back. It could feel like we are strong and powerful and courageous, and then it could feel like, you know, we're kind of pushed back a little ways, or it could be that we feel pushed back and we feel like we're held down, so then we find our power, we find our voice, we move forward. That could come through with the Mercury moving direct, and then Mercury coming into visibility and then coming into that maximum elongation period. So those are just possibilities, right? But the air trine that we have here between Mars and Pluto can offer insights and can offer cohesion and working together. So the air element represents our thoughts, or the realm of our thoughts, the realm of ideas, the realm of communications, the realm of all of the mental processes that are happening within our head, processing different information as well as like bringing in different information. And it can feel like going back and forth between that too, with Pluto being in the sign of Aquarius throughout this lunar cycle. But I'm wondering that if like what has been brought up has been, if it's been somewhat difficult, then we may get insights of how to move forward. We may feel that we have some motivation to problem solve or figure out what it is that hasn't been working out so great for us, or find ways to move through things. If it's been a building experience and what has been falling away throughout Pluto, because Pluto likes to remove things from our lives, right? Then if it's been more of a productive period, then this could feel very empowering. This could be productive energy. This could have us moving forward. So the trines are typically beneficial energies. They're of the nature of Jupiter, right? But they still hold the nature of the two planets as well. So through the trine, we get understanding, we get cohesion, we get productiveness, we get the two planets coming together, but we get the union of Mars and Pluto. So we get that kind of like amplifying both planets at the same time. So Mars being movements, being what motivates us, what lights us up and gives us ambition, and Pluto at its best can represent power, can represent strength, a deep strength that can come within. On a less positive side, it can represent those struggles that we have within us, those shadows that we maybe that we tuck away in the closet, or those subconscious conditionings that weigh us down or hold us back within some way, the different shadows of the underworld that pop up here. So we can productively have that come through and be able to work through problems, work through difficulties, work through the recent oppositions that we've been with Mars and Saturn and Neptune and whatnot. Work through the recent oppositions to Pluto. This, like I said, this entire lunar cycle is opposite to Pluto. So offering ideas, offering solutions, offering communications. Maybe we're having deep conversations. Maybe we're finding ways to move that allow us to problem solve, allow us to dig deep within whatever trenches we're in right now, and wherever we're working. Maybe we're able to be focused and serious and just take it all in. Feeling powerful, feeling strong, feeling capable, initiating different thought processes. That's what I mean, like the new ideas coming in. Libra, where Mars is a cardinal sign. But then being able to carry those ideas through. So we get the starting power and the initiating power through Mars in the sign of Libra, which is a cardinal sign. And then we get some follow through in Aquarius, which is a fixed sign, and can keep moving within those thought processes, stay within the thought processes, and not necessarily get pulled out of it. So that's where you can get this staying power between the two. Air can also be detached, so it can be objective, and these qualities can allow air elements to orientate itself to whatever the process is that's going on. So the thoughts that we're bringing in, the different information that we're processing, the patterns that we're looking at, and the different routines maybe that we're working through, whatever it is that is coming up here. Maybe there's an ability to detach. I was going to say detach from our emotions, and maybe that's a possibility, but being able to just objectively look at the situation and look at whatever's at hand here, and being able to find a way to move forward with it. That can have us, there's always a negative side, right? There's always a shadow side. So that could have us leaning a little too strong into the power. We could now be part of the power struggle. Maybe we are exerting ourselves over others. Maybe we are a little too central focused. Maybe we have our tunnel vision, and we have our blinders on, and we're not focusing on the other things. Those are possibilities as well. But overall, this is a continuation of the energy that we talked about last week. So you can go ahead and look back at last week's video at the tail end when we talked about the full moon for a little bit more information, and looking at that cumulatively with the full moon, which is all still in play here. So that is where we start out with a bang on Sunday. So that Pisces moon on Sunday is going to take us right into Monday, August 11th, and the moon is going to be in the sign of Pisces all day. We have the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter here this day. This is the aspect that we have been waiting for quite some time here. This is a beautiful aspect, and pointing out that that the moon is in the sign of Pisces, I feel like makes it even more beautiful here. So let me go ahead and put the chart up so that way you can see this here. I'm gonna there we go. Okay, so I have the chart up for this one is on Sunday, so I'm gonna bring it forward here to Monday. Yep, Monday the 12th here. So if you notice on this chart, in the 10th house, we have the sign of Cancer, and you'll see that Venus and Jupiter are conjoined at 13 degrees. They're going to follow each other right into the 14th degree from Monday into Tuesday, and then really they're going to be sitting together throughout this week. It's going to start, it'll be the strongest at the beginning of the week, and then kind of slowly fade as the week goes on. But they can join at 13 and 14 degrees of Cancer. So anything that you have in those middle degrees, take a peek at and see where this Venus-Jupiter conjunction could be working through for you here. So pointing out that the moon is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is one of Jupiter's signs, so there is a mutual reception between the moon and Jupiter at the time that this conjunction happens. And Pisces is also the place of Venus's exaltation, so there's this mutual reception there as well. Exaltation is the sign that is best next suited for that planet other than its home ruling signs or its domicile. So it's kind of like the next best place to have it. But being that the moon is in a place that so closely relates to both of these planets that are conjoining, it can bring the transit more directly right into our environment, right closer to us. And those are right through the moon. The moon represents our environment and the fluctuations of daily life and the events that happen and the triggers of the events that happen. So it just brings it just that much closer to us. When the benefics conjoin, Venus and Jupiter, the greater benefic and the lesser benefic, not because one is actually better or worse than the other one, but just because of their speed. That's where they get their names. But when these two planets come together that like unity, they like friendship, they like relationships, they like things that meld together. You get cooperation, you get unity, you get bonds that are made. You get emotional connections because it's in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is Jupiter's exaltation. So Jupiter is lifted up and is in a good place in the sign of Cancer. Venus doesn't necessarily have any dignity in the sign of Cancer. However, Venus in Cancer is very loving, very tender. It's a soft and nurturing place in the sign of Cancer, and Venus likes to nurture, likes us to feel good, and likes us to enjoy, and likes our desires to be filled. It's where we like to find comfort, where we like to find unity. So friendships, relationships, camaraderie, trust that is created through different bonds and different relationships that happen. Understandings can happen when Venus and Jupiter conjoin. Useful knowledge. Jupiter is the planet of knowledge, wisdom, abundance, blessings, right? Venus brings cohesion, brings leveling and balancing. So we could have knowledge that comes through that is useful for us, or allows us to better understand, or allows us to find some sort of joy within ourselves, or within our own space, our own safe space. When I think about Cancer, I think about the central space. I think about our own environment, our own personal spaces, like our home. I think about our family and our lineage and our ancestry and the little places that we have that make us safe, or the little rituals or routines that kind of give us comfort or self-soothing things. Those are all Cancerian type things. So some blessing and abundance coming to this area just sounds really, really nice, I think. So just generally feeling good in your own space here with this aspect is just a very general way of it working out. Luck, abundance, blessings, things coming to us that are good, that are helpful, are very possible, right? But for some of us, it's just going to be a generally good feeling, unless it's hitting our own planet, or somewhere in our own chart. So again, related to Cancer, family, origin, it's a sensitive place, so we can find the things that we have sensitivities to in the sign of Cancer. The house topics where you find Cancer in your own chart is probably, there's probably some sensitivity there, or a little bit of an emotional attachment of some kind. Our memory body, our emotions, the way we process our emotions or don't process them, the conscious or subconscious conditionings that we have that are passed on down through our lineage, through family, genetics, or through experiences, through the memory body. All of those things could be having a little bit of soothing, or a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of cohesive energy coming through here. A little bit of, let me hold you while we come into this tender little space type energy. And Cancer in general is a sensitive space. So with some of the recent transits, if they've been a little bit more difficult, this might really feel good. This might just really feel like when we can take a nice deep breath. I want to remind everybody that has strong Cancer placements that Mars was retrograde in the sign of Cancer earlier this year. So now we have, not only do we have Jupiter making its way through there for approximately a year or so, but currently we have these two benefic planets that usually like to bring unity, like to bring good things into our lives, conjoining in this sign. So there might be some healing energy going on if there's been things that have been kind of ruffled a little bit, or been a little bit difficult. And then as well as just the other transits that we have. Like this whole lunar cycle, like I already said earlier in the video, is toned by Pluto, so there's a potential for that pendulum swinging energy for a lot of us. And there's always a positive and negative sign, right? So watch for overindulgence. Too much of a good thing is still too much. So feeling that there's no restrictions, feeling intoxicated by enjoying, mostly this is feeling connective and feeling supported and feels positive. But if things have been difficult and it's been hard for you to get comfortable, and you're able to get comfortable in this, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to come out of that. It's like when you cozy up with your blanket on the couch or something on a cold day, and then you don't want to get out from underneath your blanket, but then you don't get out, and then like your housework doesn't get done, or your errands, or maybe you don't even get up to go to work because you want to stay in your bed. That is too much of a good thing, right? Like you're enjoying yourself, but it's not helping you in the long run. This is really a lovely aspect that we have coming through here, and if you haven't already, oh gosh, I should have mentioned this in last week's video, but I've been going out and looking at Venus and Jupiter getting a little bit closer to each other in the sky in the morning. You can see them early before the sun rises. So try to catch that if you can, if you see this video in time. Yeah, so lovely energy coming through, and with the trine, Mars and Pluto coming through yesterday, and maybe giving us like some grit and some power of some kind, then this might feel a little more soothing. This might feel a little bit more cohesive. Or if the transit has been positive for us and has given us some strength and given us some power, then Venus and Jupiter may just make us feel really good in the space that we are in. So making sure we're coming out of a good space there too. So yeah, that's what we have coming through on Monday. If we go ahead and roll right through to Tuesday here, we don't have any exact aspects that are going on. The moon will start out in the sign of Pisces, move into the sign of Aries, and then it's going to start making conjunctions to those planets we have in the sign of Aries, and then it's going to oppose Mars in the sign of Leo as well. So that's Tuesday, and then we roll right through to Wednesday. No exact aspects here either. Moon in the sign of Aries, making a couple aspects of that day, but really just following the moon around through the middle of this week here. We move forward into Thursday. We have Mercury making a sextile to Mars. Now we're going to talk about this in this week's video, but we're also going to talk about it in next week's video because based on the speeds of the two planets, they're going to hit exact here on Thursday, but they're also going to hit exact again on this upcoming Sunday. So we're going to talk about it again, but really these planets are within a 3-degree range until August 23rd. So this is a transit that we have for what, like a week and a half, 10 days, something like that. That's going to be within its active range. Subtle with the sextiles, right? But helpful energy. You have Mars, which is very physical energy. You have Mercury, which is very mental energy. And these two planets could be working together. It's a supportive aspect that we have here. So, that staying power that we talked about with Mars and Pluto, this aspect from Mars coming in next with Mercury feels like it allows us to continue that for a little bit longer with like being able to problem solve, being able to find different solutions, being able to look within ourselves for information. That's very Mercury in the sign of Leo, right? So complementing each other. These two planets are working together and they're complementing each other. Mercury in Leo is courageous. It's passionate in its thoughts and its communications, speaking up for itself, looking for the answers within, looking within the heart space for the answers. That can aid Mars in the sign of Libra, who is a little out of sorts in this sign. So Mars' home sign is Aries, which is opposite of Libra, so that depresses Mars in the sign of Libra, which really just doesn't mean that we can't get anything good out of Mars and Libra. It just means that it's a very un-Mars-like place, and that's because it's the place of Venus. So Mars being a little out of sorts, Mercury, through the sextile here during this period, could potentially give Mars a little lift or give it a little confidence. Meanwhile, Mars in the sign of Libra, again, we can get the good things from there, can help and support Mercury in a way too. So it may help Mercury in the sign of Leo kind of like express itself without being too much, right? So like Libra is very balanced, very diplomatic, and Leo can be very out there. It can be very theatrical, it can be very big, it can be very bright. It's the place of the sun, right? So we think about like the sun versus Venus. So these two planets can help each other. We see Mercury in the superior position, so really Mercury is able to help that depressed Mars and be able to lift it up in a way. Again, this could be subtle. This could be the type of thing where we just kind of notice energy is flowing together, and like the mind and our actions, they may be a little bit in sync, and they may be in support of each other and working together. And they may express each other, this aspect may express itself outwardly, because these are masculine signs. Leo and Libra are both masculine signs. So really I see this as a helpful aspect for us to problem solve, to keep working, to be able to do something a little bit different than we have, or, you know, whatever issues may have came up in these more difficult aspects that we've had. Now we have the motivation to keep moving because we have these Mars aspects still. Mars has been a player for a little while, but now we have Mercury. Mercury brings tools and thoughts and ideas, and it brings resources to us. Ones that can lift us up, and ones that can help us in the sign of Leo, ones that allow us to find our own strength and our own power. So looking for that here at the end of the week. So that's what we have coming through on Thursday, and really that is our biggest aspect that we have for the rest of the week. If we go ahead and move forward to Friday, August 15th, the moon's in the sign of Taurus. No major lunar aspects, but we have the third quarter moon here, so we're going to be moving towards a new moon. And then if we move forward into Saturday, August 16th, that Taurus moon takes us right into Saturday, and the moon will move into the sign of Gemini around noon, and then it'll conjoin Uranus. So we have some action that is going on here this week, right? We definitely have some action that is going on. Most of it feels supportive, feels helpful. We have trines, we have sextiles, and then we have a conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. So if things have been difficult, if it feels like there's been that polarization and that pendulum swinging back and forth, or there has been power struggles, hopefully this week will bring through some ways to work through that. And if there's been innovation, if there's been ways that we've been able to liberate ourselves, remember that the full moon was aspect to Uranus as well, then this is going to allow us to keep rolling on that path. So however you've started moving and started rolling and started, you know, moving a little bit differently, you can just keep rolling with it, and you can just keep going with it. So yeah, I like the energy of this week. I hope everybody has an absolutely lovely week. Once more, if you've made it all the way through this video and you haven't already subscribed, then I'm going to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Find us on social media too. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. The weekly intention is completely guided by the astrology of the week. And it's just a phrase to lean into. It's an energy to contemplate on, to meditate on. Watch the weekly video for the week that comes out Saturday, and then join us on Sundays for a live meditation. That's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live streamed right to YouTube as well as Facebook. Yeah, so really a good process way to lean into the energies of the week and to move with them. So thank you for joining me. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I will look forward to seeing you back here next week. Take care. Goodbye, everybody.